All right, welcome one and all to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast, and we are going to do a review of Monday Night Football and everything else in the world of sports for September 8th, 2025. And wow, what a football game. You know, we've had two really extraordinary football games on Sunday night with the Bills' big comeback with basically from the grave, and also Chicago letting Minnesota off the hook. They're leading 17-6 after three quarters. Seem to have the game kind of in hand. They miss a 50-yard field goal by Cato Santos, and I'm hoping he doesn't get picked up by ICE or immigration. And then Minnesota went on a roll. They scored three unanswered touchdowns. J.J. McCarthy, who looked actually pedestrian in the first three quarters, actually found his rhythm. Threw touchdown passes to Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, who only had 4 yards in the first three quarters, but then added 40 and another touchdown in the fourth quarter to actually have the seal of victory. And J.J. McCarthy had a 14-yard scramble, actually was the touchdown that put them up. And Caleb Williams actually looked really good. He scored a touchdown on the first drive. Chicago's got to learn how to win these games. You don't change the culture, and I talked about it yesterday in the video. Everybody says when the new coach is, oh, he's going to change the culture. Well, tell me who the guy is who says, I want to have a losing culture. I want to have a non-aggressive culture. I want to have a culture where we're not accountable. Jesus Christ, I hear that every time they hire a new coach. Ben Johnson, the Bears actually look pretty good. Now, is it because the talent is maturing? Because of Ben Johnson, a combination of both? I don't know. But I will say this, J.J. McCarthy, we were starting to wonder, was letting go of Sam Darnold, was not getting Kirk Cousins in the house a mistake. There's three quarters. Yeah, you were kind of wondering, because believe me, in this social media internet world, nobody's waiting the whole game, right? Let's just start looking at the lines right now. And he came through in the fourth quarter. Kudos to him. You know, the rub on him was, well, he sat for a year, he matured, whatever. It doesn't matter if you sit. You really still have to figure out how to produce. And I thought JJ played wonderfully in the fourth quarter. It does seem like they made the right move, letting Sam Darnold go. We'll see. I don't want to start looking at the season through the prism of the first week. I mean, what, Baltimore? They're a bad team. Detroit, they're a bad team. No, I ain't buying that. You know, I think we're going to start seeing their winning ways. But, you know, sometimes you stumble coming out of the gate. I guess that's really it. The stats for McCarthy, 13 of 20 for a $143, 2 touchdowns in the air. He had 1 INT, 2 carries for 25 yards, and the 14-yard touchdown scramble at the end. At halftime, they honored the 85 Bears. All right. At least those Bears knew how to win. All right, we'll see. I mean, it was I was really impressed with both teams. I thought Minnesota got a hard-fought win. We'll see where they go from here. The season lurks. All right, let's talk about some more NFL stuff. The 49ers, Kittle, their great tight end, is out for a couple weeks. We don't know the severity of the injury. I did not see anything about Christian McCaffrey either. Also, Purdy could miss week 2. We shall see. I think Purdy's going to play. I think this is just a scare tactic. I think he's probably hurt, but that kid's going to lace it up. That's just my gut instinct. Giants, New York Giants, as they go on their downward spiral into trying to get the first pick, and whoever that may be, are sticking with Russell Wilson. I think it's a smart move. The problem is Brian Dable going to survive? Is John Mara going to give him the full year? Jackson Dart, I mean, you got to say they're going to have an itchy trigger finger. You know, I'm always amazed at this thing. I'm going to talk about Anthony Richardson. You know, they draft him incredibly high. He didn't have a lot of college seasoning. And then they say, well, we're going to sit him for a year. Yeah, until you're 0-2. And then the fans are like, you know, the barbarians in the Coliseum and Gladiator. Like, oh, bring him in. What do we got to lose? And that's what happens. Everybody sits there at the beginning of the year and goes, oh, we're going to let him season. We're going to let him do. Until you go 1-3, you know, 0-3, 0-4. And then everybody's like, what do you got to lose? Well, you know what you got to lose? You're going to destroy the young kid's confidence. You know, just saying, look at Daniel Jones. I mean, I know Daniel Jones really doesn't fit into the scenario I'm talking about, but I think at some point when management or coaching loses faith in you and the city starts to turn on you, you really got to find another way to go. Geno Smith proves this. Sam Darnold proves this. You have to find somebody who is for your system. Look, we all know these kids are talented. Are they in the system that maximizes their talents and efficiencies? Therein lies the rub, right? Let's go back to Bryce Young. He was the number one pick. Is he a bad player? Goddamn, no, he isn't. Is he in the wrong system? Is he in Carolina? Hell yeah, that's a big problem right there, right? Literally, you could have put Peyton Manning in there, and I don't know if he would have survived. I do harken back to like David Carr when he got drafted by the Texans. That guy was a rocket. That guy was a monster. I think he got sacked like 70 times in his first year. That was the end of his career. Yeah. See you later, right? All right. Let's talk a little college football. The Florida Gators, their outstanding defensive end, Betts, apologizes for spitting, basically giving the 15-yard personal foul penalty that allowed the University of South Florida to get down and grammatically kick the walk-off field goal. Honestly, he should be not apologizing to Gator Nation. He should be apologizing to Billy Napier, because that guy goes to LSU this week. He goes to Miami the week after. This guy isn't going to survive. And everybody wants to blame him. Yeah, okay. I mean, heavy lies the crown, right? Pay him the $22 million you're going to owe him, and let's move on. Also, let's go to the University of Texas, and Steve Sarkisian is downplaying rumors that there is health concerns with his superstar. Well, 2 weeks ago he was superstar. Now he's just a journeyman quarterback, Arch Manning. And the report was from one of the reporters who hadn't actually talked to Arch Manning. We live in this world of social media. Don't forget that he had throwing pains. Sark immediately threw down on that. Now, trust me, if Texas is 2-2 or 3-2, trust me, we're going to be hearing about health things. Oh, well, he tried to tough it out, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's get to the world of baseball. And I watched truly a magnificent game. Tyler Glasnow and two relievers combined for a one-hitter in a 3-1 victory over Colorado. And actually, the hit did not have anything to do with the run. They gave a double up in the ninth inning, and that was the only hit for the Colorado Rockies. It was a really, really good game. And the Dodgers found a way to win. Glasnow, though, that is the thing I was really looking at. How is he peaking coming into the playoffs? And I will say this. I understand it's Colorado. It's not like he was playing the Phillies. It's not like he was playing the Mets or the Brewers. But, man, he looked sharp. He looked sharp. That we're looking at a number one starter starting to peak at the right time with the playoffs around the corner. The Phillies, talking about them, they beat the Mets 1-0. Aaron Nola really rounded into form. 6 innings of 3-hit ball. Looked magnificent. Johan in the ninth inning with 2 runners on struck out the last 2 batters from the Mets to get the win, get the save. Texas, they beat Milwaukee 5-0. Michael Hellman had a grand slam. There was a foul ball dropped by Milwaukee. It kept the inning going. Grand slam, how you doing? I will tell you this. I told you this 2 weeks ago. Texas is a hot team. Be very, you can get them at 50-1 to win the World Series. That's a bet you might want to think about. All right, let's go through the rest of the major leagues. The Guardians beat the Royals 10-2. Padres beat the Reds 4-3. Mariners came back and beat the Cardinals 4-2. The Nats, scoring the most runs they have in 4 years, beat the Marlins 15-7. The Braves, wow, finally got a win, beat the Cubs 4-1. The Giants beat the D-backs 11-5. Twins beat the Angels 12-3, and I really don't know what to tell you about the Angels. They seem to draft really good players, but it just I don't know if it's the lack of pitching, management, what it is, but you can't tell me Ron Washington can't coach, but I don't know. It's just the same old middle of the road crap for them. The Red Sox also with Garrett Crochet striking out 10 in 7 innings, shut out the A's 7-0. All right, if you could, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And if you want, leave a comment. I'm out of town. It'll be a little hard for me to get to it. Yeah, John, you don't have a phone? Yeah, I know. I am technologically challenged, but I will give you the best in the world of sports. All right, we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.